lost you. Sitting outside, the gray skies feel so much more colorful actually being outside than they seemed through the window. There's ants that are sneaking by my pants, and there's conditioning around not wanting to get bitten. That's pretty mild compared to how supportive this space is for the body, the biological body, the earth and dirt that are in the cells that just feel at home in the nature right now, in the untouched by human nature. And it's been a week, it's been a day, it's been full. And here comes the sun a little bit. Yeah, so much conditioning around the conditioning of, it's almost this like constant radar detector that was learned from a very young age, that the way the appearance is here to others really matters. It doesn't even matter what context it's in or what it's actually attuning to, that radar keeps separating, wanting to separate and be what it thinks it should be, which is always different than what's just here. So it's kind of sweet to see that happening outside in nature, where everything just is, in this untouched by human nature, where everything is just what it is. Even some of the construction sites that are passed to get here, they just are what they are. And that's so more than okay. That the conditioning that is trying to please or be appealing to whatever situation it's in is also just totally okay. Doesn't need to go away. I don't need to be showing up and presenting myself free of conditioning or free of the process of separation and identity. That's if it's here when it's here, then it is. And that's not what wants to be talked about today, but it's coming up and there's space to talk about it, and that feels nice. And much of this probably sounds like nonsense and will sound bizarre and off-putting to some people, and to other people it might resonate. But what wants to be talked about today, in this moment, was a comment that really touched the heart here. On being able to love other people more easily than loving the self. I don't know if it was a question or just a comment. I don't remember where it showed up, if it was in my email or on a video or in a therapy session. But this is a theme that comes up quite often in the work that I do, but also historically. With conditioning of a people pleaser and a peacemaker. Historically, just feeling so much easier to have compassion for other people, to love other people unconditionally, to send them genuine, what feels like genuine love and kindness and affection and fondness and friendship, really. That being so much easier than sending that inward. Sending that to what appears to be inward. For many that I've worked with, loving kindness, metta, words of affirmation, are so triggering, are so untrue, are so forced that they're off-putting and polarizing. How could I ever force myself to just feel love towards myself, that I'm worthy and that I'm valuable and that I'm beautiful and that I'm okay? When that just, like, are you kidding? Like, that conditioning around self-criticism that has been fed and fed and fed and fed from a culture that has every step of the way told us that there's something wrong with who we are. I found an ant. Which probably means that they're in my pants. So I don't take it lightly that anyone should be able to feel love for self. Like, that should be a place that needs to be arrived at. And I'm not speaking from a place of authority, even though it probably will feel that way in the structure of YouTube and videos and being in a certain role that feels like teaching and sharing. And the sense here that's more authentic is of a creator who's speaking with their authentic lived experience that can be taken with a grain of salt to hopefully resonate with someone else's authentic experience and help that authenticity in yourself feel welcome. And the paradoxical thing is that I'll talk, and there are things that feel true to be said, and they feel like teachings. Love isn't an emotion to be able to turn on or off. And even that word, when I say that, and what that's pointing to and what that's felt here, who knows what anyone else feels, what anyone who uses that word might feel. But what's known to be love here is the absence of conditioning, the absence of adding to anything, the absence of the separation. When it's seen that there's nothing at the center of me, of this, that emptiness, that nothingness, that's also full, the everythingness of what's just this moment, and it's always this moment, and it's always changing. And you watching this video after this moment being a shadow of what's here right now. The impossibility of all of this. And I'm laughing because it's impossible to talk about without sounding insane. Like what love really is the absence of all the layers that are put on top of it. And so if you feel love for me more easily than you do yourself, in that moment of feeling that, and that love could be a disguise of something else. It could be desire, envy, or resentment, or it could really be love, what I feel is love. And part of that accessibility, that non-separation to someone like me, could be you don't know me very well. Could be that this is a very uncomplicated relationship for you. Could be that I don't trigger any parts of yourself, any conditioning that pulls you into the shoulds or the expectations or the need to be different. But your relationship to yourself, the self's relationship to what it thinks this moment is, has a lot of history of learning and unlearning. That's certainly the case historically here. I had a very complicated relationship with me. There were so many different roles I had to play as a good daughter, as a good student, as a good friend. As a good employee. Even in moments of life being rebellious or self-destructive, like expectations around those roles in those moments. That if in the moment of those roles, those expectations, those shoulds, they can be allowed to be felt. They're not hidden. Those parts of us can be seen. The awakening of what's here, if it is separation, awakening to that. It's like this blossom that just, like, whatever's blossoming, if it's allowed to blossom, it stretches, it expands, and then inevitably the petals fall. It has its time. The core of it all, which is love, is revealed in the death of that experience to be just the foundation. But the resistance to the shoulds, the resistance to what's actually here, the self-loathing or the shame or the resistance to the body, appearance, weight, color, texture of who we are, whatever we resist gets bigger. And covers up the love. Such a beautiful question of why is it easier to love other people than it is to love myself? Because it's so honest. And it pulls those parts up. Those parts that are separate. That aren't the foundation. That need to be felt to know what the foundation is. Because if we're standing on the roof, calling it the ground, we need to see that it's the roof before we find our way down. So that those other parts that distract us aren't a problem, actually. It's the hiding them that's the problem. There's nothing special about me. I'm not free from that conditioning. I'm not free from those parts that also want to separate. And not to say that everyone knows what awakening is. It's just that we're really good at believing that we don't. And forgetting. And by the way, when I say love, I mean awakening. I say awakening, I mean love. That the nothingness that all of these words are pointing to, the empty fullness, the thing that can't be named. The thing that's not a thing that we're all made of.